And I know it's not a good quality. I know it's not one of my best qualities. But when I find very rigid people and they're forced to move off their rigidity and they flail and they can't do it, I get off on it. I think it's kind of funny because I think, you live in this world we live in, adapt or die, evolve or get out of the way. And Green Bay just can't communicate. So I'm on Rodgers' side on this. I don't think he's always the easiest guy to deal with, but your takeaway on what you're watching, the story this morning is he's making fun of their general manager, calling him Jerry Krause.
Right, and I think the Jerry Krause example is instructive because for folks that think, oh my God, he could never retire, he wouldn't walk away, I would remind you that Michael Jordan wanted to keep playing basketball. You know how we know it? Because 3 years later, he did keep playing basketball for the Washington Wizards. And why did he leave the Bulls? Because a headstrong GM said, you can't have the coach you want, you can't have the teammate you want. If you want to come back without Phil Jackson and Scottie Pippen, I guess we'll take you, Michael. So he walked away. I think Aaron Rodgers has actually made this incredibly easy for the Packers. You just fire Brian Gutekunst. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
And by the way, oh, Nick, that's unfair. What has he done? I'll tell you exactly what he's done. He took a massive swing and a massive risk to remake the team in his image last year in the draft. Nobody was saying the Packers need to look beyond the Aaron Rodgers era. They were coming off a 13-3 season, a conference championship game appearance. And Gutekunst made a bet that Rodgers would show significant decline in 2020 and that he would look like a genius for being ahead of it. Well, sometimes when you make a big bet, you lose. There has to be a risk to that. Instead of showing a decline, Rodgers won the damn MVP, and they're a possession away from going to the Super Bowl that, I don't know, literally any draft pick could have possibly helped them other than the one who didn't play a snap all year. When you make a big bet like that, sometimes all the chips stay on the table and you walk away sad. So yeah, of course I'm on Rodgers' side in this. Gutekunst bet on Rodgers failing. He was wrong. There should be repercussions for that.
You were one of the rare American sports personalities last year that never bought into the Clippers. Oh. I bought into them. A lot of people bought into them. You kept saying, nope, they don't have any chemistry. You have been an outspoken critic of Brooklyn and their inability to defend bigs. They melted down again late last night. And I was a cynic early, kind of bought into them when they started winning without Kevin Durant. And I watch them now, and I think to myself, so I don't like their chemistry, and they can't defend bigs. So I'll say it now. I don't think they get to the finals. I really don't. Your thoughts?
Well, I think you and I might end up being on the same page that forget the finals. I don't think they get to the conference finals because what Brooklyn has done let's go back a few weeks. They play Philly. It's the game that decides the tiebreaker. It's a second game of back-to-back. Steve Nash decides to play Kevin Durant against the Timberwolves, sit him against Philly. Then when they have a big comeback late in that game against Philly, leave Kyrie on the bench. They lose that game. Now they lose the tiebreaker to Philly. Philly stumbles a bit. You have these big 2 games against Milwaukee. They can't stop Giannis. He scores 49 in the first one. Last night he scored, 36, whatever it was. Milwaukee had 7 straight layups in the fourth quarter to take over the game. And now they are guaranteed to play Milwaukee in round 2 instead of, if they were the 1 seed, playing either Atlanta or the Knicks. If you can't get it together to try to prevent having to play these guys for 2 weeks a month from now, then why do I think you can get it together in the playoffs? Oh, when Harden comes back, it'll be... Harden does not stop that.
Right.
Like, their scoring is not the problem. The problem is that Giannis has averaged, in 3 games against them this year, 40, 11, and 5.
Yes.
And Blake Griffin is not the answer. DeAndre Jordan is not the answer. Nick Claxton's not the answer. So we've never seen a team win a championship that never played together. And we've never seen a team win a championship that's below average on defense, much less downright awful on defense. They're trying to do both. I don't think they get out of round 2.
For some reason, Nick, the NFL and baseball, even hockey, mostly get it right when it comes to MVPs. It's a very productive player who's very valuable. The team wouldn't be the same without him. But the NBA is different for whatever reasons. They tend to embrace a story, sometimes a statistically significant player who's not terribly valuable, like Russell Westbrook. In fact, players generally are better when they leave Westbrook. And that leads me to Chris Paul. Has anybody taken a deep breath? Does everybody realize I grew up when Phoenix was good? That feels like the 80s, the 70s. I said it, I think Joey and I have been saying this. I would vote Chris Paul number 2 or 1, MVP. I'm interested in your perspective on this. You are a diehard NBA fanatic. How do you view Chris Paul?
Chris Paul should be the 2021 NBA MVP. And it is not a Lifetime Achievement Award, but it is his lifetime of achievement that validates what has happened this season. As a rookie, he gets to New Orleans. They win 20 more games than they won the previous year. He leaves, they lose 25 more games than they lost his last year there. He gets to the Clippers. They immediately get to round 2 of the playoffs. He leaves, and despite having Blake Griffin still on the team, they're a 500 team. He gets to the Rockets. They immediately win 65 games, have the best record in the NBA, and are up 3-2 on the KD Steph Clay Warriors before he hurts his hamstring. He gets to the Thunder. They are trying to be bad. They want to tank. He's too good. They make the playoffs and get to Game 7. He gets to Phoenix, a Phoenix team that was 26-39 last year before the bubble. A Phoenix team that was just hoping he would get them over the hump into the playoffs. The change for them is they got rid of Oubre and Rubio, added Chris Paul. Ayton's still there, Booker's still there, and their numbers are the same as last year. And they have the best record in the NBA. If it is about affecting winning, Chris Paul has been more valuable this year than any player in basketball. Joker has unbelievable numbers, and he has the highest PER in the last 6 years. We've just given it to the guy with the highest PER. That's not the award. Steph's been amazing. He's leading the league in scoring. There's an award for that. It's called Scoring Champ. Chris Paul has been the most valuable player in basketball, and I don't know how deniable that is given what the Suns had been the entire time Booker was there, including last season, and the fact that as we sit here today, they have the best record in the NBA. And let me add one other small thing to this, Colin. It's going to look really bad for the league if Joker wins the award and they have to give it to him in a conference room instead of on a basketball court because the Nuggets have been eliminated from the playoffs before it is announced. That happened to them once before. They will be signing up for it to happen again. So I think Chris Paul's the MVP. I don't think he's going to win it, but I think he should.
Very good stuff today, Nick. I really appreciate this. And, yeah, you know what? I thought of you the other day because LeBron he's getting old. And he's getting injured. And when you get old and injured, you get re-injured a lot. How do you reconcile, I mean, the best player you've ever seen play, he's your unanimous number 1. You're not old yet. And you have a beautiful young wife, so she'll keep you young, and you have young kids. How do you reconcile LeBron James is now old, injured, re-injured, and it looks like we can see close to the end?
Can you see it in the reflection of the championship ring he won literally 8 months ago? Or in the reflection of the finals MVP trophy that is the most recent one given out that is sitting on his mantle? I'm not sure if that's where you see the end. Listen, LeBron is almost to the day the exact same age as me. I feel great every morning. It's the best I've ever felt. So I think he's going to be just fine. Playing game, schmaying game, it doesn't matter. In any series they play, they're going to have the best player on the court, so I'll still pick the Lakers. But I understand you trying to make me feel old, make LeBron feel old, if only they hadn't just won the title a few months ago.
That's a pretty good answer. Nick Wright, my buddy, first things first, good seeing you. That was funny.
See ya, bye.
See you, bye. So we were, it's funny about Chris Paul, too. It's rare. You could say, well, I mean, Chris Paul.